What does rebellion actually cost? In Andor Season 2, the answer is unflinching. It costs everything. This isn't a story about noble warriors with clean hands and stirring speeches. It's about what people give up, willingly or not, in service of something bigger than themselves. And through three powerful contrasts, the show reveals a brutal truth. The people who gave up the most are the ones who became the rebellion. Some of them lost their freedom. Others lost their families. And a few, like Luthen Rael, lost their very humanity. But each of them chose, in one way or another, to sacrifice. And those sacrifices tell us more about the rebellion than any blaster fight or space battle ever could. Let's begin with the most morally compromised figure in the series, Luthen Rael. He doesn't carry a lightsaber, he doesn't wear a uniform, but he does something most heroes won't. He sacrifices everything, including his soul, for the chance to build a rebellion that outlives him. He orchestrates attacks, manipulates allies, and even does the unthinkable when necessary, as we saw with the death of Lonnie. He doesn't do these things out of hate or bloodlust. He does them because he's already accepted that he won't see the end of this fight. As he puts it, "I burn my life to make a sunrise I'll never see." Luthen isn't trying to save himself. He's trying to give someone else a future. And that makes his sacrifice the most complete of all. Now contrast that with Saw Gerrera. Saw fights, always has. But where Luthen sacrifices himself for the cause, Saw never fully buys in. He's distrustful, unpredictable, and ultimately refuses to align with a broader rebellion. He may stop running and die on Jedha, but he dies on his own terms. There's still a line that he won't cross. A part of himself he won't surrender. Luthen and Saw both live in the shadows. They're both isolated, but only one believes the cost is worth it. That's the difference. Luthen is building something. Saw is surviving in the cracks. And that tension between them, that reluctant alliance, defines the ugly beginnings of the rebellion. In many ways, Thomas Paine is the real-world echo of Luthen Rael. Paine was one of the most influential voices behind the American Revolution, writing Common Sense, a pamphlet that didn't just inspire rebellion, but made it feel necessary. Like Luthen, Paine gave everything to the cause: his time, his reputation, even his place in society. He didn't seek power or prestige. He simply believed the future demanded action, no matter the personal cost. And just like Luthen, he was ultimately discarded by the very people he helped. Branded a radical, Paine died alone and unloved by the new government he helped create. His famous line, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day that my child may have peace," could have come straight from Luthen's monologue. Both men were architects of rebellion who gave up everything so that others could inherit something better. While Luthen wages a war in the shadows, Mon Mothma is fighting a different battle, one rooted in appearances, image, and the soul-crushing weight of diplomacy. At the start of the series, she's surrounded by elegance, Chandrilan customs, political ceremony, lavish dinner parties. But by the end, she's giving the speech that puts her life at risk. And then she is sitting at a picnic table, stripped of every illusion. Her personal life crumbles. Her daughter is married off for political leverage. Her husband has become a stranger. And her role in the Senate, the very institution she once clung to, becomes untenable. She walks away from it all. The cost is enormous. Now compare that to Senator Bail Organa. He too supports the rebellion, but we see no such dissent. He remains in the Senate. His family remains intact, at least for the time being. He walks a careful line, keeping one foot in the system and one in the movement. But Mon, she plunges headfirst into the fire. While other senators keep their titles and their lifestyles, she becomes someone else entirely. Someone willing to let go of everything in the name of something better. That contrast matters. It reminds us that leadership in rebellion doesn't come from titles. It comes from what you're willing to lose. Mon Mothma's arc in Andor finds a powerful, real-world parallel in Corazon Aquino, the former president of the Philippines. Like Mon, Aquino came from privilege, part of the political elite, and could have stayed comfortably removed from conflict. But when her husband, a political dissident, was assassinated, She stepped into a public role she never sought. She gave up her private life, strained her family relationships, and risked everything to challenge the Marcos dictatorship. Much like Mon Mothma, Aquino used her position within the system to undermine it. But doing so cost her personal peace and security. She led a nonviolent revolution, but carried the burden of that fight quietly, with dignity and loss. Both women stood at the intersection of politics and morality, choosing to break from tradition and comfort in order to preserve democracy for others. And in the end, both bore the scars of that choice alone. Then there's Cassian Andor, the character we're told is destined to be a hero, but whom we meet as a man constantly running from his past, from his planet, from responsibility. And yet over time, Cassian stops running, not because it's safe, but because he finally understands that some fights are worth staying for, even if it means giving everything. He leaves Kenari, the only home he's ever known. He gives up Bix, not just a love interest, but a symbol of the life he could have lived. And he loses his freedom, piece by piece, as he becomes more entangled in the fight. Opposite him is Dedra Meero, cold, calculating, absolutely committed, but to the Empire. For her, the system isn't just a career, it's family. It's safety, it's structure. She's been raised by it, molded by it. She believes in it the way others believe in the rebellion. Dedra and Cassian contrast in almost every way. Their relationships, their respective roles, and especially their sacrifices. But the difference? Cassian's sacrifices are chosen. Dedra's are imposed. And Andor makes it clear that the path to rebellion is forged, not just through loss, but through choice. Cassian's transformation from reluctant survivor to committed rebel mirrors the real-life story of Jean Moulin, a key figure in the French resistance during World War II. Moulin didn't begin as a revolutionary. He was a government official, pragmatic and cautious, trying to navigate the rise of fascism. But when the Nazis invaded France, everything changed. He refused to collaborate, endured torture and faked allegiance just to stay alive long enough to organize the underground movement. Like Cassian, Moulin was always on the run, constantly sacrificing safety and personal connection for a mission he came to believe in more than himself. Eventually, he unified fragmented rebel groups under General de Gaulle's leadership, a quiet architect of revolution who worked in the shadows and died in silence. He was captured, tortured again, and likely executed, never living to see the liberation he helped set in motion. Just like Cassian, his legacy wasn't in speeches. It was in action, grit, and sacrifice. Andor Season 2 doesn't ask you to cheer. It doesn't offer neat endings or heroic glory. What it does is force us to look at the quiet cost of freedom. Luthen sacrifices his soul. Mon Mothma sacrifices her family. Cassian sacrifices his future. These aren't abstract losses. They're deeply personal. And they're what allow the rebellion to become real. And to better highlight their sacrifices, each of them has someone who contrasts with them that helps shine a light on what they gave up. It is such excellent storytelling. In a world where empires win through control and fear, rebellion begins with letting go of comfort, of safety, of self. That's Andor's harshest truth and its greatest achievement. So let me ask you, whose sacrifice hit you the hardest? And do you think it was worth it? Let me know in the comments. And if this gave you something to think about, consider liking and subscribing. We've got more split talks and breakdowns coming soon. And this rebellion is just getting started. We'll see you next time.